A very good morning, students. This is Aarti Pillai, and today I am going to explain you the first chapter of your English book. And the title of the chapter is Best Christmas Present in the World. So, what I thought, do you know? What I have decided? I have decided that before explaining the chapter line by line, I have brought for you this pictorial slide. I want to summarize the chapter so that it will be easy for you to understand. So, shall I start, children? Okay. Are you ready? Right. So, here, writer, his name is Michael. He went to a junk shop and from there he bought a roll top desk. That roll top desk, it was in bad condition, so he decided to repair. When he was repairing the roll top desk, he noticed that in the last drawer there was a secret drawer. Okay, so he just what he had seen, there was a secret drawer, and in that there was a tin box. There was a tin box which was covered with sellotape, and top of the tin box there was a note paper. And in this note paper, children, something interesting, it was written over there. So just because of his curiosity, writer just opened the tin box. As he opened the tin box, do you know what happened? What happened, do you know? There was a letter. There was a letter. There was an envelope. And he started reading a letter. Whatever letter was there, he started reading this letter. So let us see what was there, what was written over there. I'm also very excited to read or to explain you, children. So let's move. So now, before reading this letter, children, I want to introduce 4 characters of this story. First one is the writer, second one is Mr. Jim McPherson, third one is Mrs. Jim McPherson, her name is Connie, and fourth one is Hans Wolf. 4 characters are there in this story. Understood? So let's hear. Here, Jim McPherson, he was writing a letter to his wife. Jim McPherson was writing a letter to his wife. At present, who is reading a letter? Who is reading a letter? At present, seeing the picture, I am asking who is reading a letter. Actually, writer was reading a letter. Okay, writer was reading a letter in the story. Writer was reading a letter. And here, this letter, it had been written by Jim McPherson to his wife. So, very beautiful salutation mark was there. That was dearest Connie. Dearest Connie. And when he was writing a letter to his wife, that day or that time was Christmas time. And all were very happy. So, let's move to the next slide. Something happened with Jim McPherson, so he wanted to share. So let us see what he wanted to share. Imagine, children, this is Jim McPherson and another character which I told you, Hans Wolf. Jim McPherson, he belonged to British Army, and Hans Wolf, he belonged to German Army. And here German soldier Tommy, they call Tommy to the British soldier, and Fritz, they call Fritz to the German soldier. Clear, children? So here Jim McPherson and Hans Wolf. Jim McPherson, he was the commander-in-chief of British Army, and Hans Wolf, he was the commander-in-chief of German soldier. Okay? Are you getting me? Right? Alright. Everything is right? Right. So let's move to the next slide. So here, children, you can see this beautiful pictorial slide. In this, that time was Christmas time, and they forgot their enmity and they were wishing to each other Happy Christmas, Happy Christmas, Happy Christmas. They all were wishing, because army, that means when they have enmity, they don't want to wish to each other. Are you getting me? But here German soldier forgot everything, British soldier forgot everything, and they were wishing to each other. Then let's see what happened. Here in the next slide, Jim McPherson, Hans Wall, they had great talk. They talked about their friends, they talked about their children, they talked about their countries. That means they were so happy. They were very happy. And see, you can see the soldiers, they were also very happy. So let's move to the next slide, children. What happened then? Suddenly what happened? One of the German soldiers, he brought football to play, and they forgot everything and they started playing. They enjoyed a lot, children. They were playing, they were laughing, they were dancing. What else? Okay. So let's move, children. Now the saddest moment come here. That is, what do you know? The time came when they have to move to their dugout. Now they were moving. They were not happy. Okay, they were not happy. They were moving. But one thing, Jim McPherson, he came to know that no one here, none of the army, they wanted to war. They wanted to fight. They wanted only peace. What they wanted? They wanted only peace, children. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. Now what happened here? Here writer was reading a letter. Writer was reading a letter, and the last sentence, which was written by Jim McPherson, do you know what was there? In that it was written that as the war would be ended, Connie, I am going to meet you. Okay, as the war would be ended, I am going to meet you soon, Connie. Okay, this was the last sentence written by Jim McPherson. So let's move to the next slide. Now here, writer who was reading a letter decided to give this letter to Jim McPherson. Okay, because as the writer, he was a kind person, he decided to give this letter to Mrs. Jim McPherson. So next day he went to that place and asked about Jim McPherson. Then he came to know that Jim McPherson, that means Mrs. Jim McPherson, her age was 101 and she was little muddle-headed. She had been shifted to the nursing home. So as I told you, that writer who was such a kind person, he went to that nursing home. And in that nursing home, he met to the matron, and matron said that because in this hospital, in this nursing home, all were celebrating Christmas, and just because of her illness, they have shifted Mrs. Jim McPherson in another room. So writer went to that room. Now what happened? As writer handed over the letter to Mrs. Jim McPherson, her eyes were filled with tears, children, and she was so happy. She was so happy like anything, children. She was so happy like anything. And what happened? What happened, do you know? What she was thinking? This man she was thinking, he was a Jim McPherson. He was a Jim McPherson, and he said that you are the best Christmas present in the world for me, Jim. So in this way, I have explained the story to you. I hope you understood. And in my next video, we are going to read the chapter line by line. Okay, and wait for my next video. I hope you understood everything. I hope you enjoyed a lot. Okay, children. Okay, wait for my next video. Clear?